My Lords, with the leave of the House, I will repeat a statement made in another place by my Right Honourable friend, the Police Minister. I thank the Right Honourable Lady for her question. Can I apologise that it is me rather than the Home Secretary, and congratulate Prince Harry on his engagement. In January, Randox testing services informed Greater Manchester Police that there may have been manipulation of test results at their laboratories. Ongoing police investigations have since uncovered that the same manipulation may have also occurred at the Trimega laboratories. Criminal investigations by Greater Manchester Police into alleged manipulation of toxicology results are still ongoing. Therefore, the House will understand why I must be cautious in my response. However, I do want to reassure members of all sides of the House that this matter is being treated with the utmost seriousness. The Government's immediate priority is to work with the police and the independent forensic science regulator to establish the full scale of this issue and the potential impact on the public. A written ministerial statement on the matter was laid in the House by me on the 21st of November. Public confidence in the justice system is absolutely vital, which is why the written ministerial statement noted that my honourable friend the Justice Minister will be overseeing the review process for individual cases and will work closely with other government ministers from departments impacted by the outcome of this investigation. Retesting in criminal cases has been underway since May and is ongoing, and the police, CPS and coroners will be contacting affected individuals once the outcome of the retests is known. The Department for Education has also asked all local authorities in England to review their records to establish whether they commission tests from Trimega and to consider whether any action is necessary to fulfil their safeguarding responsibilities. It is unlikely that the decisions about the welfare of children will have been taken solely on the basis of toxicology results. However, the Department for Education has asked local authorities to assure themselves that the rationale for decisions made about children's safety and well-being is not now called into question. The Government fully understands that people may have concerns about family cases, which is why the Ministry of Justice have also created an application form which allows people to apply to court to have their cases looked at free of charge if they are concerned. Government officials will continue to work with the police to monitor the scale of this pressing issue as further information emerges. Furthermore, as Greater Manchester Police's investigation continues, we are considering what lessons can be learned to ensure public confidence in forensic science is upheld.
Thank the Noble Lady the Minister for repeating the response to the urgent question in the other place, and perhaps the Noble Lady the Minister could explain when she comes to respond why the Police Minister chose to make his statement originally in a written statement on the 21st of November and that it's taken an urgent question to actually have an oral statement from the Minister. One would have thought what we're hearing about was sufficiently serious to justify the Minister in the Commons coming to the dispatch box without being summoned there through an urgent question. The 2010 government regrettably abolished the Forensic Science Service, and perhaps this is one of the chickens coming home to roost as a result. Randox testing services, who are one of the companies involved, have been quoted as saying, and I quote, "We are now well advanced in developing a foolproof testing system which would enhance the security of our operations in the future to provide the necessary level of confidence." Could the Noble Lady the Minister say, inform us, that surely a foolproof testing system being in place would have been part of the terms of their contract to do this work? Is that really not the case, as the statement from the company might seem to imply? Randox have also said they will be paying the costs of retesting. What about the cost of the police investigations that have been taking place for some time, and local authority investigations referred to in the statement, and the costs of obtaining legal advice? Who is going to be paying these particular costs? Is it the company, or is it going to be the police or the local authorities or individuals affected? The written statement on the 21st of November by the Police Minister said in relation to the other company, Trimega, which is now part of Randox, It said, quote, "The number of Trimega's customers affected is unknown. It may never be possible to identify them all due to poor record-keeping practices," close quote. Is Trimega, now part of Randox, in breach of their contract as a result of having poor record-keeping practices? And if so, what are the potential penalties? And finally, in relation to Randox testing services, which is the current company, the information that's been given indicates that most drug tests from RTS between 2013 and 2017 are being treated as potentially unreliable. Will Parliament be told of the extent to which such drug tests and those done by Trimega in the years before 2013, will Parliament be told of the extent to which such drug tests are found to have been reliable and the precise impact on individuals this has had? I think that's the least the Police Minister now owes Parliament.
I thank the Noble Lord for those questions, and he's absolutely right. It is indeed a very, very serious matter, and one that the government does not take lightly. He will have noticed from the WMS on the 21st of November, it was a fulsome statement, and there is now an investigation going on, which will take some time. He questioned the abolition of the FSS. My Lords, the alleged manipulation, it must be said, predates the closure of the FSS. And the FSS were never actually involved in family cases. It was indeed Trimega. He talked about Trimega being part of Randox. My Lords, I must make it clear at this point that Trimega were not part of Randox. Trimega closed Randox set up. Yes, those two individuals were employed as at Randox, but Trimega was not part of Randox. He also asked about will the numbers ever be known. The numbers may never accurately be known, but we think that it is approximately 10,000 tests that were affected. In terms of making something foolproof, my Lords, the nature of what allegedly went on here means that we can never make this foolproof, because as the regulator has said herself, no reasonable set of quality standards could guarantee to prevent determined manipulation by skilled but corrupt personnel.
My Lords, whilst we agree that determined, skilled and corrupt practitioners in the public sector could have equally produced such a scandal, and that the performance of the public sector forensic science service was not without criticism, can the Noble Baroness, the Minister, tell the House what lessons have already been learnt and what new safeguards are already in place to prevent this from happening again? The Minister says the government is considering what lessons can be learnt, but surely there are immediate steps from the initial findings that can and should have been implemented by now. What action has the government already taken to reassure the public?
Well, as the Noble Lord points out, that because this is an ongoing investigation, the full lessons of what went on here cannot be appreciated yet. But of course, the government has taken moves since January of 2017, when we found out about this alleged manipulation. And my Lords, we supported the police's initial response to the news of manipulation, including officials advising of the impact on marketplace and the regulatory impact. The Home Office advised the NPCC in the creation of the Silver Groups, which were operating protocol for forces, for the forensic service providers and the CPS. We facilitated the agreement of commercial terms between Randox and the independent testing companies, and we sat on technical advisory group of forensic experts who advised the Gold Group on the retesting strategy. As I said in my statement, the DFE have been liaising with local authorities in England to review their records and will consider what action needs to be taken from there. In terms of the MOJ, together with the DFE and CTS, have been working closely with the police to identify family and civil court cases where a toxicology case was undertaken by Trimega. We've been advising the NPCC Goal Group and the team is working with the CPS to ensure the appropriate disclosure is made. We've asked all forensic toxicology suppliers to review their practices, and we've asked the Forensic Science Advisory Council to consider a number of measures to strengthen provisions to reduce the risk of malpractice and to help rapid detection. We are supporting the UCAS internal review, and we've briefed the Lord Chief Justice, the President of the Family Division of the High Court. My Lords, we've done a lot since we found out about this.
My Lords, a number of years ago I visited Harperley Hall in County Durham, which led on forensic science at that time for the College of Policing. They did an absolutely extraordinary job. Will the government look at how that was run and seek to emulate it in the future?
Well, I think the Noble Lady's right that at times like this it is absolutely essential that we look at both places and areas of best practice to see what we can learn. Of course, the full extent of that learning will not be forthcoming until the full investigation has been undertaken. But I totally take the Noble Lady's point that best practice has to be emulated.
My Lords.
The Noble Lady, the Minister's point about the difficulty in getting over finding a system that's totally foolproof, but it would seem from what we've heard that the vetting of personnel could well be the central issue here. And could the Noble Lady tell us, or possibly write to us, about how that vetting might be improved?
Well, the Noble Lord may be right that the vetting process was not sufficient, but as the regulator has said, no reasonable set of quality standards could guarantee to prevent this determined malpractice. We are talking about 2 people, and perhaps there may be further people, but these people were corrupt, and the regulator herself has said it was very, very difficult to prevent it.
My Lords, anyone who has practiced in the criminal courts, whether prosecuting or defending, will know that confidently given forensic evidence is enormously persuasive when it comes to the issue of guilt or innocence, the responsibility of juries. Isn't the terrible feature of this that there are those who may have been wrongly convicted and those who may have offered pleas of guilty when the evidence put to them simply did not amount to a sufficient evidence to justify conviction? This is a serious breach of the civil rights of those who have had to appear in the criminal court.
Well, the Noble Lord is absolutely right to point out that confidence in the system is absolutely crucial. And this is an area of science which has to date had great confidence put in it. He does make the point about somebody wrongly convicted. It would be rare, but not impossible, for someone to be wrongly convicted, but someone is rarely convicted on one piece of evidence, although it is not impossible. And therefore, that is why the high priority cases are being looked at, and why in the course of retesting, those sorts of issues will be established. But the Noble Lord is right to point it out.
My Lords,